So I'm sitting here in the editor of the social network app that we have been building so far. So this social network application is like Facebook, where users can jump on our platform, create profiles and interact with other users. And one of the functionality features that we want to add is the ability for a user to message another user. And what we've added to this page here is we've actually added the chat messenger page from the Canvas library, which gives us the elements for a messenger page. In addition to that, it has also added in a number of workflows to make this chat messenger page work, and it's also made modifications to our database. So if I jump over to my database over here, there are two data types, being thread and message, which have been added to my database here. And just to make it really clear to you what a thread is and what a message is, I'm going to jump over to this preview page, and what you can see here is exactly what this chat messenger page looks like. And what you have on the left hand side here is you have your thread. So you have your group chats, or the person whom you are actually sending messages to, and then on the side here you can write in a message over here, and you can send a message as well. So every single group, or thread as we call them, has messages associated with that. So if we jump back to here, you can see that there's a relationship between the message and the thread being the group, and the message being the actual message being sent. So just walking through the data fields which are here. On a thread, we have the users, so the list of users who should be part of that group, part of that thread. So here it'll be Jeff and Mary, here it'll just be Jeff, and also us as the user who's sending that message. We have the last message sent date, so just because the way we've ordered it is by the date in which that message was sent, or the last message was sent, and then whether it's inactive or not. On the other side on the message, we have the actual message information. So the attachment, any files that we've sent, any text in the message itself, the thread, so we know which group this message is associated with, or that thread over here. So just which one of these it's associated to, and then viewed by users. So who's actually seen this message. What you can also see now is that this message and the thread is publicly visible. So there's no privacy rules that have been set up. So we do need to set up the privacy rules. And the reason why is we don't want people who aren't part of a particular thread to view the messages within it, or even to be able to see that thread. So if we jump over here, if I have these messages with Jeff here, I don't want Mary to be able to view all of my messages with Jeff. Likewise, in this group chat with Jeff and Mary, I don't want another user to know that I have a group chat with Jeff and Mary, and then be able to view the messages within it. So for that reason, we've got to set up our privacy rules. So we'll set up the privacy rules for the thread itself first. And what we want is we just want the users who are part of the thread to be able to view the thread itself. So I will just say thread users over here. And what I will do is I'll go, this thread's users contains current user. And if it does, they can view all the information, and everyone else can't view any of the information. Now what I need to do is I need to set it up for the messages. And basically, I'm actually going to write it as thread users as well, because I want it to relate to the thread's users. So I only want Jeff and Mary to be able to view the messages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, this messages thread users contains current user. Okay. And what you see here is now that I'm coming up with an error, and it says rules that use this messages X, Y can't grant search access right now. So what that means is that find this in searches doesn't work. And the reason why is because it's going X's and Y's. So it's referring to the messages, then the messages thread, and then the thread's users. And there's a multiple reasons for this, but at the end of the day, it's just a bubble limitation, which they're aware of, and they are working on fixing. And if I explain to you why this is important. If I go to my design tab, click on this repeating group, the way that we actually pull in the messages is we do a search for messages and we refer to the current thread which we've selected, and that's how we pull in the messages to view the messages over here. So if we don't have that search access, we actually can't view the messages, and we don't want to check this box because then everyone else now has access to this find this in searches. So what we're going to do is we actually need to make a modification on our database to make it a lot more like this, where it goes this threads users. It directly relates to the current data type instead of going X's and Y's. So what we're going to do is we basically want to copy this one and replicate it on the message. So we'll go users, and then we'll go users, and we'll make it a list of users. And when I go back to my privacy rules, I'm going to change this one to users contains current user. And I will just update this name to messages user. So if you're part of the users saved on the message, you have access permissions to view that message. And what I want to do is I also want to update all my related workflows. So for the create a new message over here, what I want to do is I want to update the users, and I want to add list being var current chat threads users, and then I want to go create a new message here, and I want to go users, add list thread users. So what I want to have is that when I click on the send button, when I send a message and we create a new message, we save the list of users from the thread onto the message itself, so that it allows our privacy rules to work. So this is just a clear example of how our privacy rule setup actually dictates and influences how we set up our data types and how we choose which fields are in our database. So that's how the relationship between privacy rules and the database and how those modifications occur.